Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Robot Mentality Podcast, Episode 7, Season 2, The Big Brainers themselves. That is Ben. I'm your boy Nick. Just kidding, other way around. Mr. Sailor, how are you doing? Good to be back after another hiatus.
I'm doing great every other week. It's how we do it. This
Yep,
is the
this was my
Robot
fault this time.
Mentality. At Robot Mentality, we believe in actively living life, not just existing. We believe in holding ourselves to a high standard and taking responsibility for our decisions and actions. We believe that a life of productivity and discipline far exceeds a life of passivity and instant gratification. Robot Mentality does not require that you agree with us. Rather, it requires that you know your values and program yourself to carry them out in your daily life. Side effects may include happiness, increased focus, women actually wanting to spread your seed, a sleep schedule, and a sense of individuality. That's the intro. That's Ben. I'm Nick. And this is our first segment, machine learning.
Sorry, I had to pop up and missing one of my resources here, but we're good now. I forgot to grab it.
I got distracted seeing you run
Yeah.
across the room.
Weird looking run, but it's good to be back.
Oh.
Last week was my fault. I had bailed last second, and I didn't end up even having to bail. So it was, but we're in this
You were trying to
pattern.
get
We'll be more consistent here moving forward. So try to be.
maybe.
But
But
we're just gonna get ready.
machine learning.
Machine learning.
Yeah.
So
Our topic is, Ben, I'll start and get into it.
okay.
It is consumerism. We've talked about this before on season 1. Consumerism, over consuming, just that's the topic, and that robot mentality is against that, and that we can have a better life without it. What do you think?
We'd have a lot better life without it once you can detach yourself from needing things constantly to be a source of happiness, I guess. I think this is a tell for me, okay? There are two types of people in this world, right? And I respect one. I'm fine with one, but I really respect the other. When you see a person, and we'll say, in this case, particularly a female, because I feel like that's part where I'm going with this, okay? Just let this play out. When you see a female that does not need the latest iPhone, that is totally cool with having an iPhone like 2 generations, 3 generations, or even more earlier, so much respect for that. So much respect for that. I just want to say thank you for being a decent human being. That's like the immediate tell in consumerism, materialism, whatever you want to call it. Is when somebody has to have the latest iPhone when they always get it on release, no matter what your income bracket is. I don't care if you're rich, if you're poor. If when the new iPhone comes out, you have to get the new iPhone. Because there are a lot of people like that. A lot of people like that. And I know a lot of people like that. But I also know people that don't need that stuff, And I have so much respect for that. But that's the lead off. Give me a take on that. Is that a crazy thought process? I think that's such an immediate tell.
Yeah, that's a good tell. And it's you kind of got to look at it for yourself, because you can look around and see things other people have, and maybe that's the one thing that's important to them. Maybe they're that's they just care about the iPhone. You kind of gotta
I'm making a vast generalization here. I realize that,
but when people chase getting things it's when you're trying to fill a hole that you have of something with things. If the only reason you're going to work, there you go. If the only reason you're going to work is so that you can make enough money to get the new Bronco, because to afford that car payment. It's when you're trying to afford payments for things just to have new things. I don't think it's good for you. And the big thing for me, I'm against consumerism. I think it's terrible for you. I think that originated from frugality. I'm a very frugal person. My parents passed that down to me. But I think for me, it's a lot bigger than just not spending money on the things. It's more that by not spending money on the things, I can prove to myself that I don't need things to make me happy. And and then in the meantime, I'm saving money for meaningful things, whether that's going on a vacation or just saving up so I can retire earlier. Or, it's about being happy with less. I think that's kind of the hacks of minimalism, which I kind of associate with. I'm not a minimalist totally, but I really like a lot of the ideals from it.
Yeah. I'm definitely not a minimalist totally, but I agree with you. I like a lot of the ideals. there's I just don't like stuff. I don't like clutter. I don't. There's very few things I ever see and feel like I need. And what's funny, most things I buy, like physical items, I'm buying to eventually resell. So I kind of have all that mindset. I don't know. It's sad because we're definitely in a society and probably almost a global society at this point. I'd say a lot of the first world is this way, where it's almost like, I mean, people really do judge each other off of stuff. I mean, immediately by what you're wearing, or if they get to know you better, where you live, what house you live in, what car you drive. And that's kind of how people evaluate the worth of one another, like the inherent worth, not the monetary worth. But you get to a point where, like you said, I mean, nothing. If you have some sort of hole in your heart, if you have something you feel like you're missing and you're not happy, going and buying a new car is not going to change that. That's not going to fix that insecurity. I would say using your money, kind of like you alluded to with vacations, but using your money to experience something or to grow closer to people around you, whether that be taking a trip with somebody, whether that be going to some sort of event with people, with your friends. I think that's much more valuable than buying stuff that's probably going to sit on your shelf or end up in your basement and you'll never use again. Because there's so many people, and I know people like that. I know people that will buy clothes and never even wear them. They'll just go buy a ton of clothes and it just ends up in the closet and they never wear them.
It's with that. It's like you really got to think about like what you're buying it for, like who you're buying it for. Like I've been in that trap before. Like like even like say you're putting together, you got a crush on a girl and you're putting together an outfit for the day, and you know you're gonna see her. Like you're thinking about, what's this person gonna see when I think them? Or like maybe you're buying this new bag. Girls would buy bags. A guy would buy golf clubs. It's like what is this? Because this person is gonna think it's cool when I golf with them that I have a new set of irons. Like you got to think about like if it's to impress someone, like if you're like genuinely gonna like your life, the $500 more, it's just like it's a big monetary aspect with it, but it's like a deeper issue than that because you gotta do things for you.
It's seeking validation at the end of the day is really all it is. Unless you're getting something that, say, inherently makes you happy. Okay, so you've had the dream since a kid you were going to drive a random year. I don't know if this car even exists. It probably does. An 85 Corvette, for whatever reason, has sentimental value to you. And by age 35, you want to restore a Corvette. That's like your thing, okay? Then that's different. And that actually brings value to your life. That's one that I separate that a little bit, okay? But there's a fine line between just blowing money, buying through stuff constantly, like the majority of Americans clearly do. And the stimulus checks were evident of that because the retention rate of those was so small. It was all blown. And it was mostly clothes and shoes, ironically enough.
I got a quick point. Well, like a different way to spin this actually. Like we're talking about like expensive consumerism right now. We have a major problem with buying a ton of cheap shit.
You're right. Yeah, you are right.
And that's what can create, like, we're talking about like big pieces, but like just people that, you go on vacation, you buy a stupid shirt that says, and you buy them for your family, or
I hate
it's
knickknacks,
like,
by the way. I hate stuff like that. Absolutely hate stuff like that.
It's like just because something exists or it's on sale or you're at Walmart and you see new, anything, dude. Like it can be really. Sometimes it's the cheap stuff that really is bad because that's the stuff that compounds and
you're right.
All like that's what like clutters your mind and life with things. So we were talking about the broad spectrum, but like there's a massive like problem with consumerism. Just it can even be like food or like a drink, be buying an energy drink or spend much on food. Just like having
things you don't even. You're right. The small things to amount. You just have to really define what your life, what matters to you, and what your actual wants versus real needs are, because it's a lot more calming, too, once you get in better spending habits to actually have money. So if you want to, like you said, go on a trip on a whim or something, like you could afford to do it. I mean, I definitely have things I'm materialistically drawn to, but I don't necessarily act on them. Like, I love shoes. I love looking at shoes, but I only have one pair of nice Jordans. And I don't really. I want to buy a second, but I'll probably put that off for a while. Like that's something I like, but I realize it's not something I need. And especially with clothes too, I find that to be so petty because you can only wear one thing at a time. So maybe
You
different
need
than
a
other
closet
things you
full of
could
different
buy.
things.
And then like I definitely aspire to have a nice truck one day. I want to have a nice lifted truck, but that's not something I would like go take out a crazy payment to do. I'd do it when I have the money and I could be financially sound and do it, you know?
Yeah,
Like,
and that's a good point too. Like, because
cause like,
people
okay,
think that they're like, go ahead. Sorry, I'll say my piece.
okay. Yep, sorry. I want to add this because people think like stacking cash is the end all be all, but at some point there is a part where you do have to enjoy life. You have like money is to an extent has to be spent in a way because if you die with all the money you saved, then you know like you got to weigh a little bit of enjoyment in that. Go ahead.
And like the people think they're gaining freedom by spending, consuming. But like it's actually when you don't spend, that's when you start to have freedom because then you have the
Yeah,
freedom
possibility.
if you want to go do something, or say you save up $10,000 and then you don't need to go into debt to buy a different vehicle or yada,
Hmm.
blah blah blah, whatever it is. People are actually locking themselves up when they're making these purchases that show that they're an
Yeah.
adult and show that they're free. I did a thing. I did a thing. I did a big girl
Adulting.
thing and bought my
Adulting.
first car.
Yeah.
No, you didn't. Congrats. I think I've said this before, but congrats on the debt.
Yeah.
Everyone's congratulating you in the
Nick Saylor
Facebook
says
comments.
congrats and F you. That's what he says. No.
Get them out of here. All
So
right,
I
we
think
should.
that's something we could expel definitely found a lot longer on. But the name of the game is I guess we'd challenge people like just figure out what you always buy or what you feel you need to buy that's not an essential thing, like roof over your head, gas, car payment, whatever. Like current
Pro
car
hat.
payment. And like cut it out for a few weeks and see how you feel. Right? 2 weeks makes a habit. So
Clear the mind.
yeah, free
Clear the
yourself.
transaction.
Free yourself.
We
Okay.
beg.
Moving on, bizarre headlines. Am I carrying the team on this
As
one, Mr.
always.
Naylor? As always.
Per
Okay.
usual. Per
First
usual.
link I have up, and we are going to flip to the share screen. Hopefully, this actually shares because it always likes to be dumb. And it is sharing. Okay, go full screen. It is sharing. Okay. First headline. Do you have this up?
Yeah, a little small. Or wait, I can get it
Yeah,
out. Okay, we got
the
it.
links in there. Gwyneth Paltrow broke down and ate bread during quarantine. What was your lowest moment?
Damn.
I'm
broke
not
keto.
much. I'm not much to always pull the insensitivity card and what you said is insensitive. All this, I hate that. But to an extent, you got to read the room. Because if eating bread was your biggest problem during all this, then like that's a congrats to fu type of moment,
Well, it
I
just
have no
showed.
words for that one. I don't feel she deserves an
It
fu
just
for that.
wasn't even. That just shows that like this wasn't that big a deal.
Yeah, there's a
I
disconnect
didn't
for sure.
I didn't have a very low point of quarantine. I ate bread, but other than that, like I couldn't like think of something to
You didn't
pinpoint.
end up
But
like on your back porch just crying naked, because I was there a few times.
yeah, I don't even know. I can't even like what was let's hear your low point during quarantine.
Hmm.
I tried to pick up
I
a ton of
don't.
like
Yeah,
horrendous
I
hobbies.
honestly like. There were a lot of times where I just tried to stay busy, and not that I was actually really doing a ton. I picked up a bunch of random hobbies, was trying to learn. I was doing a ton of DoorDash, like in the initial. I don't know what the lowest point would be, because honestly, like it sucked, and I was definitely not happy for the first few weeks, just because I was in such a pattern in my life, and I'm a guy of routine. Once I get taken out of that, it's tough on me to adjust. But like it was a weird time. I don't know if I had a specific low point. I honestly had a lot of fun. I was talking to my friends more than I ever did, which was enjoyable. Like every night I was in calls and on FaceTime and whatever, which was cool.
Yeah.
But
As messed up as it sounds, and I probably shouldn't say this, but like variety's the spice of life. So I mean, like, if looking back at it, would I have rather had the experience of the last year or not? Like, I'm all for like having a year of quarantine and having different headlines, and like it. I mean, obviously, if I could say like not have a pandemic where people die, yeah,
Yeah.
great. But like, it's been a
I
cool
mean,
year. It's been
it's
different.
been a weird year. I would rather have kept it the way it was before, obviously, but it's something we went through. We can't change it. I don't think I had any sort of breakdown moment, and I'm fortunate to say that because I didn't have somebody like close to me died, and I myself didn't have any issues, So that is definitely a fortunate perspective. But this article, end of the day, deserves to get shit on, for sure. Definitely a disconnect there. It's not like people
Yeah,
are homeless or lost their jobs, their businesses, lost their lives, gave up their rights to their government. I mean, there's a lot of so.
there's a lot of different lows you could
If
have. Yeah.
you know what, I hope that bread kills you, Gwyneth Paltrow. So
Sorry about
sorry
your
about the
keyboard.
bread. No, I'm joking. I don't hope she dies.
Next, get her out of here.
Next, get her out of here. On to the next one. On to the next one.
Mm,
Okay, we have round
Dylan.
two. Sadly, the headline isn't as good as I'd like, but I'm gonna have to pull this up from the other screen.
Melinda Gates warned
Yeah,
about
you want to read it?
Jeffrey Epstein.
Go ahead and finish it. Sorry, because I can only see
Yeah.
it through my screen.
Oh, after a secret meeting between the couple and the wealthy sex offender, she said she wanted nothing to do with Epstein. Bill had a different attitude. What a
So, for
creep,
those
dude.
that
He just
don't
looked weird.
know, Bill and Melinda Gates are getting divorced. And Melinda, if you want to go out, hit me up. Okay, we'll spend a little time together, right, Nick? I'll spend a
Sugar
little time
mama.
with Melinda Gates. I'm
Kind
down.
of, yeah.
But um, so my man Bill has some ties to Epstein, and which was kind of always known, but it just wasn't as public. Apparently, Melinda's kind of spilling the beans of how often they'd hang out. They were good buddies, and I still don't think Epstein's dead personally. Have you ever seen the pictures of him dead? Because I haven't. I've never really looked for him, but usually when they're spamming these autopsy reports all over saying died by like usually they'll show pictures in the article, but there haven't been pictures, at least that I've seen.
What's up with his wife? Isn't she, or like
Oh,
Glazine
Gliz,
Maxwell
yeah,
or
no,
whatever?
that's like his servant, not his wife. It's like his uh,
Is she
buddy.
alive, dead?
No, she's alive in FBI custody, and I don't think she's pleaded guilty to much. They've been trying to get a bunch of info out of her. Um, they have found some stuff through her, like proof of sex trafficking, and she admitted like what she would do. I don't know. It's a long story, and it honestly got pushed to the side pretty quickly. Ironically enough, we haven't it has not much has
I
come
don't know.
out
I'd
from
love
it, considering she's been in FBI captivity or federal
like a
captivity for
year.
a long time now, and they're apparently grilling her every day on stuff. But she might be out now. She might actually be like on bail or something. I'd have to look into it, but
I'd love if a whole ring of celebrities just went
I would
down and
too.
exposed how terrible. I mean,
Because
yeah,
there are like I'm not some anti-billionaire, anti-fame, whatever. I'm not that. And I definitely think the majority of celebrities, while some of them may be disconnected, like Gwyneth Paltrow, I'm not saying there's this huge dark rank of people, but there's definitely an elite group like Epstein, Bill Gates, Ghislaine Maxwell type of people that do really shitty things, and um, yeah, I'd like to see him outed too. I hope she gives all the info needed to can some people, but at the same time, if they can say 10 major people, say Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, Elon Musk, all connected doing something terrible together, would anybody really care if it all came out at the same time? Just because those people have so much leverage over everything, do you think anything would really even come of it?
if it was the like literally like the 10 richest people in the world, no, you really couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
But like, say it was like one of like maybe like two of the top 10, and then like some actors and some politicians, like then there'd probably be enough
Yeah.
force to kind of hit them. But if they're all like a certain group, I
Bill
don't really
Gates has
think.
been a Eugene, as I like to call them, for a long time, and has been very open about it. I mean, the Epstein thing, I don't, I haven't looked into it. I don't know what he did, but in my opinion, if you were going to the island like a normal basis, you're probably a terrible person because his island is nothing. It's like a mansion. Apparently, it's not like a huge mansion. It's like a house on this big island. Everything's underneath. All the like it's all underneath. So if you were going there and so Tom Hanks, for example, had been there like 25 times, You cannot tell me that you only sat in that house. You literally can't tell me that. Um,
There's no reason to go there. Like, why would
yeah,
anyone?
it's if you've been there enough, you definitely know the story. Yeah,
Yeah,
100%
like
know the
Epstein must
story.
be a pretty cool guy if all these people just want to hang out with him.
Yeah, no, he's
Uh,
got those. He's got those good.
Good miners.
The good. Yeah, just bad, bad. We don't like
Get
it.
him out of here.
All right, we are going to. We're gonna pay the bills really quick, Mr. Naylor. So our first sponsor is the Target Corporation, or as the hipsters like to call it, Target. I believe. I think I'm saying that right.
Target.
Target. Yep. For all you fashionistas out there, teeny boppers, white chicks that love to hang out at Target that are 15. Um, Target wants you to know that they now have a safer store environment for all their customers because effective May 14th, 2021, they are discontinuing the sale of sports cards. So, yes, you can go into the store again without all these squatters that are sweaty, that are wearing socks and sandals and smell really bad and look really gross, sitting and fighting each other in a handful of aisles near the front of the store. So, Target just put an ad with us just to let you know it's safe again. Come on in. There's not going to be freaks there much longer. And yeah, just last week, Target had to pull the plug. We had a gun pulled in front of a store after a gang fight for a box of cards, and Target really said, we're not doing it anymore. So, yes, Target is a safe environment. Come get your groceries. Target hates Walmart. They love you. Go to Target.
Thank you, Target, for looking capitalism dead in the eyes and saying, not
Not
today.
today.
We don't need the $10 profits off a box of cards where these scrubs are going to go profit 500
That's
off
right.
it. So
That's right. Get them
Target's
out of here.
taking Target's probably just going to take all their wholesale items and just start selling them on eBay, and
Yeah, they probably will.
their
Just
their
sell more
earnings
direct.
are just they're beating earnings Q2.
Yeah, they will. No, that's
Well,
just quickly though. That is, there have been like Target got a lot of heat for the last one. It was like in Brooklyn. There's like this big gang fight, and the dude who pulled the gun was the one defending himself. I guess I don't think he shot anybody, but I think he like fired in the air or something. Um, it's bad, and what's funny is that's not the first instant, and that's not the worst instant. The last year that happens a lot. Targets and WalMarts. I'm surprised it's gone on this long, and Walmart still hasn't done anything. So Target was smart to pull it because the money they make on the few amount of boxes they get is so minimal. It's not worth having people camped in front of your store, in store always, like always. There are people that pinch tents like 3 days before and just sit there outside. It's not good.
freaking crazy, dude.
It is crazy.
So crazy that like the card market
What's
blew up
crazy
like
is the
that.
dudes that do it. It's, I guess it's technically worth it. Like this one dude, I just saw a picture. These little $10 packs, right? They sell for about 50 each. That just came out, and he camped out at one Target, and then he had connections at the other, so he got like the whole stock at like 5 Targets. So we got like 500 of those packs, and then multiply that by 40 profit each. Um,
20 grand.
which is, yeah, I mean, for what, 3 days of camping? It's pretty crazy. But all right, moving on.
Wasn't
Another
that?
discussion for another day. But that takes us into, we're talking about this rampant capitalism, whatever you want to call that. We're going to cover the state of the economy a little bit. How about the State of the Union on the Robot Mentality podcast? We're going to give our opinions on the fiscal landscape that Nick and I are ever so interested in. And Nick, things aren't looking good, are they?
No,
Nope.
and I hate to
Man's
be
really said
I hate to
nope.
be the no, I don't know. I hate to be like the doomsday guy because I don't want Bears
Nobody
aren't
wants to
happy
be.
people.
Yeah.
Bears aren't happy people. Bears aren't cool people. But like I don't want to I don't like where the prices are out of the market, and there's a lot more. Not really just we don't even have to take the stock market wise, but just like consumer price index came out today, which is an index that measures inflation, and they were estimating it was going to be like 0.2%, but it was 0.8%, which annualized that basically means like over 9% inflation when the target's 2.5.
Yeah.
Um, so what that means is consumers will see much higher prices. Um, Wages are probably going to have to
They always
hike to match.
drag. Wages always
Yeah.
drag by like a 30 to 40 year rolling basis. So not a good thing. Yeah.
So yeah, all this spending and stimulus we did in the last year, which some may argue some of it was necessary. It's starting to bite back. We knew you can't just print money for free. You can't give money to special groups without somewhere it getting paid for down the line.
Yep.
So that's kind of where we're at, and now the stock market's kind of reacting to that and pulling back in the last couple of days. But yeah, I mean, it's the first taste of what's to come, I think.
Yeah, I think it only gets worse from here. And anytime we've had, like, you could look at '08 with what the market did. You had the initial crash, you had the climb back up, and then you had the real long lasting crash. Um, Same Great Depression, right? When it lasted, that actual real crash lasted years in the market. And that's just the market. I'm not, obviously disconnected from the economy in a lot of ways. But um, we've gotten to a point, though, where so many people were behind this. I'm gonna I'm gonna play myself up here a little bit, and I think you were calling as well. We both thought this was pretty much BS from the start. Handing people money was for the most part BS. Okay, maybe the first one we were kind of iffy on. I remember still complaining about it. I think you did. I don't remember specifically. But then we've done this a lot because there've been like 6 different packages now. Not all of them were handing checks to people, but a lot of them were. Because people got checks, what, 3 times?
Great times. Those 3,200 or 3,400 dollars. No, $3,200 total. For a typical
Yeah.
individual.
So the problem is, let's go back to the time. Let's go to the first one. Okay. A lot of people, both sides of the aisle politically, were behind it. Okay. I wasn't. I realized it was a weird situation, obviously called for desperate measures type of things, which that initial stimulus bill, a lot of money was going to other places, not just obviously checks to people. Um, but the problem is we'll start with the checks to people because this gets into employment numbers, which we're going to talk about in a minute. What was it for the first check? $1,000, 1,200,
1,400
fourteen
or
hundred,
1,200,
1,200.
12 or 14.
Okay, the problem is if you didn't have the money to pay your bills when this started, like the first fallout when things were looking bad, if you're living paycheck to paycheck, when you got that $1,200 check, I mean, what? It's probably 4 months later, at least after March. We were in the summer for sure.
Like 2 months probably
Two
from like
months, like
pandemic.
that didn't save you, So there's this argument that to be made from the start, or did these checks actually really truly help anybody? If they went out day one, maybe. But if you were already in a bad situation, that $1,200 probably isn't changing anything. If you're inevitably
Yeah.
losing your job and then your house and then your car because you owe money on everything, and again, getting into consumerism, a lot of Americans have way too much stuff that they can't afford and stuff they don't need. Okay, tying that back in. But did it really help anybody? Okay, is step one. Step two, further in the timeline, we keep doing these stimulus packages. One, we keep doing these packages that give money to, schools, restaurants, bailing out corporations. I'm against all of it. And we've given so much foreign aid, absolutely an absurd amount. I don't know if we're probably between the packages, definitely up to, we got to be $500 billion in just foreign aid, which to me is absolutely a slap in the face if you're an American. We owe money to nobody. If anything, that money should be going here. Okay, it's step one. But we've printed so much money, and then we eventually did these more checks where, like, you don't have to know anything about economics. Just the most basic principle of inflation, just the definition, to know that that wouldn't be a good ending.
And so like the way I see it with these $1,200 checks, obviously they help everyone $1,200, right? But
If
people that were
everybody's
bad with
richer,
money,
nobody's richer. That's the problem.
basically everyone is $1,200 less in debt or has $1,200 more crap that they don't need. Like I don't think it got used efficiently, and I think people that were bad with money or hurting from COVID are probably hurting a whole lot more than
Yeah.
the couple $1,000s they got from checks. And the thing people don't like, most of our generation, I always talk shit on our generation, but it's
I do
because
too.
it's pretty dumb.
Yeah.
So we hear inflation, and that's not like a nice idea, right? Like it's like, oh, whatever. Well, we needed to help people. That's the nice idea that we're serving, but like inflation's screwing people. look at, okay, the housing market for one, like real estate prices blown up. That means
Even
not only the people
supplies.
buying yeah, exactly. That's what I was gonna get into
Yep.
next. Like the people buying the houses, you're screwed. If you're not making a lot of money and you're like, I don't want to own a house, I want to rent. Well, rent's going up too. Like though that's one of like the main places that are really pulling inflation up. That and then you can't build a house either because lumber is like quadruple the price it was two
Yeah.
years ago. So it sounds like, oh, so what if I pay 10 more cents for a gallon of milk next month than I did this month? Who cares? It's an extra couple bucks a month for people to get. No, that's not, it complicates so many things. Used vehicle prices are up.
Yeah.
Um,
That one's
the
that
real,
one has some other factors, but yeah. I mean, they were up before the chip shortages too, so
but yeah, so I mean, the things that really affect people are almost like on the front end
yeah.
of inflation, pulling it
Utilities,
up.
housing, transportation, it's all screwed. Food, screwed. So,
And you can blame some of that slowdown on COVID because like chip shortage wouldn't happen
yeah.
if COVID didn't happen. So we're not saying that stimulus checks have caused all this madness at all, but
A lot of it.
it didn't. I don't think it helped as much as not doing
And
it
we
would
still
have.
got 8 trillion on deck, folks. Like it's only getting worse. It's going to get a lot worse. I mean, and it's gonna be weird because if the dollar is the global standard, and some people may disagree with that, they just didn't try to tell you the pound, and that's not true. The dollar has so much more leverage over the global economy than any other currency. If the dollar has a serious fallout, which it should, like on paper it should, like, but what does that do to global markets and global commerce? And that's a big deal. Um, but here's the thing going with inflation that people don't realize is one, there's still no free lunch, no matter what people tell you that, because every Democratic politician is vying for massive tax raises on the money they gave you. By the way, you don't get that for free. You're gonna pay that back, and you're gonna pay it back at a much higher rate than what they gave you. You'll be out of money. Um, Two, again, people should have been concerned from the start. Wages lag decades behind inflation. Decades. You could not even find good paying jobs before COVID. Like it was difficult. On the low skilled labor market, and even, in college degrees that are inflated. But um so look at it this way. Yeah, you got your checks, okay, that most people did not save, did not put towards paying off debt, because we have numbers to prove that it all went to consumer goods. Like literally, I think the number's over 65% of people that got checks put it literally the whole check towards consumer goods.
And they
Don't
bought
quote me on that, but I
junior.
know it's a really high number. It's in this. I know it's
Yeah.
above 60. Um, so guess what? Yeah, you got this money in the short term to screw around with, but now you're going to be making less money because your wages will not catch up to inflation, and you're going to get taxed more while you're making less money. Tax rates are going up, 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 and on every facet of tax, income tax, sales tax, whatever tax it is, and you're making less money. So you lost on both ends of the equation, all because
Yeah.
you wanted your checks. And again, going into price indices as well, and we're going to quote Syndrome from The Incredibles. This quote just relates to anything. If everybody's special, nobody's special, okay? If everybody has $1,200, if everybody's $1,200 richer, guess what you just did to anybody selling you shit that they know people will buy? That price just got bumped because now they know you have money in your pocket and the baseline's higher, right? Why is the new iPad freaking? It's like the iPad just took a huge price jump. Or I don't know if iPhones have. I know the new iPhone obviously more expensive than the last, but I think it took a bigger jump than it normally does. Like why? Because everybody's got money in their pocket now. They know they can take it right from you because you're just gonna blow it. So it's such a
Well,
such a bad giving people money because people Americans don't know how to spend money is such a bad concept.
mhm.
Such a bad
Well,
concept. It freaks me
there were
out.
so many earnings reports have came out from the first quarter, and back to like the stock market. Everyone thought stocks were or like companies were gonna miss earnings because people don't have money and we can't
Yeah.
even pay our rent and we're stimulus checking our rent. No, like Apple beat. Everyone's getting new iPhones. Like retailers beat. People are spending the money on stuff. I know we kind of keep beating that dead horse, but
Yeah.
you made a
It's what it
really good
comes down
point
to.
about you made a really good point about people are going to be making less. and they're going to be getting taxed at a higher rate. Because like think about someone making $100,000 just so it's easy. Um, a lot of companies they don't even give you raises year to year, but if you're lucky, you're in a company that gives you like a 2% raise a year to match inflation, right? So you might be make 102 next year. But if inflation is 6% next year, which do you think that could happen?
Yeah,
I mean,
easily,
like then
especially in the
you make
current pace.
4,000. Yeah, after your raise, you still make $4,000 less. Plus, maybe your tax rate is bumped 5% because
Yeah,
Bi- Biden talks about his tax hikes that aren't going to affect the normal people, but
it
they
affects the
are.
normal people. Yeah, it's we've got have we gotten to a point um where the cat's out of the bag in the sense that something's going to have to massively shift, like a huge crash, like a change in currency, which has happened in first world countries before, where they basically void a currency and move on to something new.
Yeah.
I mean, are we to that point where that's the spiral we're on? Like, is this a
So
savable ship?
I think it is a savable ship for two reasons. One is because the alternatives. I don't think anyone really thinks the pound is going to be the next new world order. I think people think China is going to take over, but everyone, I don't think, like, I also don't think anyone's willing to let China take over because we know they're terrible. And cryptocurrency is not ready yet. People, crypto's not ready. So
Yeah.
I think it's a ship that can be saved, per se. But there's no reason to say, if you look at the period, remember that, no, you don't remember it, probably read about it, the tech bubble in 99,
Hmm.
the high 99, and then, okay, so where's left to right for you like that?
Sure.
Whatever. So I think it's actually from here. So they were so far up from the tech, and then they came down after the tech bubble pop, and then they were climbing up at 2008, and then they went back down. They didn't hit their highs until like 2013, I think. So we could absolutely have a market that doesn't do anything
Yeah. Oh yeah.
for 15 years.
Yeah.
Um, we could just have like, a stagnant economy. I don't
Hmm.
know. Maybe not.
Well, the problem is too, and this goes slightly off topic, but getting into more of the globalization side of things, just like we were covering chip shortages, for example, are like that. My dad, or my dad, he works the auto industry, and he can't go to the plants he works with right now. They're all shut down because they have no chips. They're not producing anything, and they haven't been in a month. Um,
Oh,
but it gets more into the argument too of like how far was closing businesses going to really screw things, especially when we don't produce anything of substance here anymore. And that does play into the economy very deeply, like very deeply, because jobs, like we were saying, which we haven't really got into it yet, now that people are making more money on unemployment plus stimulus than they are working low end jobs or even some mid end jobs, like college degree business type of job. Well, not making that much, but you know, ballpark, right? But um, like, what's the incentive to work, Nick? Why are we shocked that nobody wants to work when we're putting money in their pocket?
I don't think there's an answer like for liberals who have, incited that this makes sense. Like you people on unemployment make about $1,000 a week right now, I think. So, well, not no 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 not that much. I think like $600 a week. So that's 20 like that's literally making like $14 an hour. And
That's
like that's
crazy.
like a good
Yeah.
paying job in a lot of places.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of times you can't find work for that. So like why would you even work for $20 an hour if you can get $14 an hour for free? Like, and that's
Yeah.
$40,000 salary. So
Especially when you could, like, and most people that don't want to work wouldn't do this, but you could do something else in the meantime under the table, and still be making a little money and making your
yeah, I
$14 for
know
free.
I know people who've done that, like
Yeah.
take cash tips working and they're pulling like $5,000 a month doing like minimal anything. And yeah, it's just a
I
conundrum really.
it and again, it's common sense. It's a tale as old as time. You could study any society that's ever tried to get people money. It always happens. Humans, no matter what, the creatures we are, will always chase incentive to do something. If Nick tells me to go run around my house 50 times right now, if there's no reason for me to do it, I'm not going to do it. Like, period. That has never been disproven ever. Um, but yeah, we've got to a point where this can't go on for this whole administration, like 4 years. It can't. Like people aren't working. And yes, there is some responsibility on employers to be paying people, but sadly, the ones that get the bad front right now are like small businesses, the businesses that just got screwed over that legitimately can't afford to like raise wages on people. But bigger businesses, like there's some businesses that probably could pay more, but people also don't realize the bottom line's not that clear cut, right? So,
I
like we saw this in Seattle, which people will never look at this study, but it was very clear through I guess the early 2010s. But the $15 minimum wage, and that's the major drive of homelessness in Seattle was that law. I mean, almost every business, big or small, cut jobs. They paid half of their people more and cut half of their low end workers, and that's so it's not super clear cut, right? And businesses aren't going to lose out on this, but the problem is you gotta rip the band-aid at some point, because now if you have no source of income just sitting at home, then yeah, you're forced to go find a job. So that we're getting to that point where
and like it's just such like a bad social issue being pushed. Right? Like I saw this guy on Twitter, he tweeted, and it got like a really good interaction or whatever. He's like they were talking about businesses not paying workers enough to make them. People were saying like basically what we're saying is people aren't going to go to work if they're going to get paid to stay at home. And this dude, I hated it, but a lot of people like this take. He's just like, well, if businesses can't pay people a living wage, they shouldn't be in business. Like I'm like, well, as long as it's legal and there's a free market to support that, that's what they're worth. He's basically saying a business shouldn't operate if they can't operate at a profit without paying people living wages, even though the minimum wage was never meant to be a living wage.
yeah. Oh, it wasn't. And honestly, the minimum wage in general is a terrible idea. There shouldn't be a minimum wage at all. Different topic for a different day, at least in my opinion. But yeah, we've and what I mean, a lot of people don't realize it. A lot of the country still has rent freezes, which is absolutely crazy. Like it's been a year. That's absolutely insane. And that's part of the problem too. When you fix every aspect of the economics that surround the average person's life, then of course they're not gonna like there's no incentive. If I get to keep my apartment and I'm getting paid $2,000 a month or whatever to sit at home and play Xbox, then why
Imagine getting $2,000 a month and not even having housing expenses.
That's
Like these people are
insane.
living their best
Yeah.
life right now. They're getting DoorDash. They're the people I'm delivering Uber Eats to.
Yeah. I mean, it's like this is not sustainable for 4 years. They're gonna have to rip the band-aid. Like there are restaurants near me that are closing the insides of the restaurant because they have nobody work it. They're just doing like drive-through, which is insane. Like that's absolutely crazy.
That's never happened before because people used to need money, but now they get
Yeah.
it without working.
And I
But
think we've discussed this before, and we'll move on from this topic in a second here. But, um, you know, if you're gonna provide some sort of service for somebody, actually just paying for the service, which again the government sucks at anything, so I'm not saying that's good, is better than just giving people cash because we have the numbers. People don't spend that stuff on their essentials; they go below it. Um, it all went to consumer goods, like you said, retail. All the retailers beat big time. Clothing sales way up, even high end clothing sales way up. Gambling way up. I mean, that can be part of any economic downturn as an increase in gambling. But so I think we hit that pretty well, Nick. But end of the day is there's going to have to be some changes and quick because we're in a bad spot. I mean, economically, we're in a bad spot. Trade wise, we're in a bad spot. What we actually can produce here, we're in a bad spot. Like literally every facet you could think of an economy, we're not looking good right now. Employment, no, and all the employment though. Granted, it's a lot of low end. It's low skill work that's open. It's not high end, and that's part of the problem too. Is there's no high end jobs being created, so a lot of
yeah,
issues. But you and I solved all the world's problems yet again. Am I right?
absolutely. We need this is more useful to listen to than Janet Yellen.
It is. She's terrible.
Anywho,
But you know what? Powell's terrible too. Jerome Powell. She's the Treasury Secretary, right? Powell's
yeah,
Fed chair. They're all terrible.
get
Powell
them out of
covered
here.
this whole time saying we're on target. Up to a month ago, we're on target for 2% year over year as always. BS. He knew that he was lying. All right, let's get Nick pay the bills.
Time to pay the bills. Speaking of the job market, professional industries are hiring. That's why you need to have a LinkedIn account. LinkedIn is the professional social media site where you can create a business profile of yourself, showcasing your skills and interacting with douchebags posts about how they helped an old lady cross the street or how they let a single mother get a job from an interview because they heard her baby crying in the background. More virtue signaling than any platform you've ever seen. And in the meantime, you can make connections to apply to hundreds of jobs and probably not hear back from any of them because they might not actually be hiring. But that's it. LinkedIn, you can get a free premium account for a month if you sign up. Just make sure you cancel it so you don't have to pay $30 a month for the terrible service that is LinkedIn Premium. Uh, Thank you, LinkedIn, our sponsor. Everyone go get a LinkedIn account to grow your network and connect with professionals in your field. Thank you.
LinkedIn, let's go, baby. Thank you. That's got to
Get
be
LinkedIn.
honestly a bot wise spammier than any other platform. The amount of DMs you get on LinkedIn constantly are just gross.
I would love it if it was a real thing, but
It's
like
not.
I
It's very
hate it. I
artificial.
hate so many. I hate it more than anything. Have you looked at like posts on there when people are
It's
like
bad.
talking, like just
It's all
such
these
like
dumb
virtue
stories
signaling?
about how I found this kitten in a sewer, and then that encouraged me to like start giving cat food to my local shelter. Then all of a sudden I'm making cat treats, and all of a sudden I'm a billionaire. It's like it's weird.
Yeah, or like yeah, they'll just or it's like trying to they'll be like, I found this. I'm not even gonna say my example because I don't want it to be taken the wrong way,
Yeah,
but it's just
so
bad.
bad.
It's bad.
What's
I hate
weird
it.
is, I mean, did Microsoft actually come up with LinkedIn, or did they just purchase it?
I think they bought it.
They
They
bought
bought
it.
it.
I mean, Microsoft's got to be a big player in that because it became a standard. Like to apply somewhere, they ask for your LinkedIn link almost always. Um, it's weird how that was accepted because it really is. It's not a beneficial platform. I don't care what anybody says. I think, as far as job searching goes, if you want to connect with people, like Twitter is probably a better option than LinkedIn is. 100% honestly.
And that yeah, and it's just so like it's
It's so
so
artificial.
cheesy. You got
It's very
so
bad.
cheesy. Like these dudes all like, no, I'll be connected with. Proud to announce that I've accepted a full-time summer internship with
Yeah.
Chadwick and Hertz or whatever
Yeah.
law firm to do cybersecurity. I'm like, shut up, dude.
Nobody
Nobody cares.
cares. Yeah.
But I don't
Yeah.
know.
Don't
Maybe
be
I'm out of
fake.
line and just not using it. But
No. No,
anywho,
it's a bad platform.
we
All
got
right.
about 13
Getting
minutes. We'll try
into
to get into
we're gonna hit the get rich quick. Quickly. Get
proverb of
rich
the
quick
day.
quickly. Proverb of the day. Sorry, you lead off.
All right, fun topic.
I have
Nothing
mine written down.
special. This is a proverb. The art is not in making money, but in keeping it. And this will lead into our next segment, Get Rich Quick, very well, and also the whole consumerism thing. But it doesn't matter how much money you make. It's about what you got and what you can do with it.
That's
That's
right.
just as straightforward as it gets.
Um, mine. It's a little off topic here, but very short quote. Very quote. Who dares wins, and that is the motto of the British Special Air Force. Um, I just like it, okay, because it's very true. You know, if you want to be a winner at whatever you're doing, you got to be able to put your neck out there. Got to be able to put yourself on the line, work hard, take some risks. You know, put yourself in uncomfortable situations. But if you're willing to dare, then that's what opens the door of the possibility of winning. So, short and sweet.
Good point. A lot of times you see people do things that almost seem out of
Safe.
line or a little too much to push the narrative, but those are the one. Then they actually get what they want. It all
Yeah.
works out. So
Yeah.
stick your neck out. I like it. Now on to
That's right. Neck.
our next segment,
Get
favorite of the
rich
day,
quick.
dollar sign. Get rich quick.
The psychology of profit taking. Very philosophical topic we have today. Nick, you want to lead off, or you want me to hit this?
Yeah, you got to take your profits. This is we're
We need
looking at
that
the
on the
financial
shirt. We
markets
need
here.
our big brainers, robot mentality. You got to take your profits right on the shirt.
Take your profits and like so. What's the point of investing and whether it's in speculative stuff, in a brokerage just trying to make money. Let's just take that spin on it. What's the point of buying something? It's so you can sell it higher, right? Um, people a lot of times when things start going down, you want to sell because you don't, you're trying to save your money. But once your investments start riding really high, you get really excited because you've seen them running for a while and you're thinking, wow, I've already doubled my money. Wait till this doubles and I will have quadrupled my money. And you think it's just a train that's going to keep going, but the point of it is to sell higher. So at some point, profit taking means selling it at a profit. And paper profits is a term. You can see it on the screen on paper that you made money, but it ain't real until you
Sold.
sell it and it's back in your account. So
Yeah.
um, it seems simple, but nobody is good at taking profits if they
Yeah.
just do it on a whim.
And we've documented this, our experience with options and things like that before, in previous season of the podcast. But it is tough, and I was in that situation not that long ago. I kind of told myself no matter what, I was going to buy this option, let it expire. So, but I should have just taken profits, got out of it because the whole market dumped on me. But it is tough, and there's definitely a psychological reason with how these brokerages, say particularly Robinhood, operate, where it's really easy. Say somebody has 10 grand in their Robinhood account. It's really easy to feel like that money doesn't exist. It's just like a number you're playing with, and just kind of throw it at the wall. Now, if you had to go to some sort of physical place and hand money in, cash in to buy an option or buy a stock, I would argue it would be a lot different. I think there is something in the psychology of it being fully digital, that gives you some sort of disconnect too, where you're okay with, you know, risking and thinking, oh, it only goes up, and then not taking any profits because you don't see that number as real.
And yeah, and we right now we're living, a lot of people are learning about investing in the last year or two. We're living in like
Sadly,
the
they're learning
longest
from
big,
bad people, but yeah, I mean, it is still,
we're learning in the biggest bull market run and best hardest bull
yeah,
market run that,
the world's ever
basically has
seen
ever been
practically.
had and in this set of people that are alive right now. Yeah. So like we're seeing what happens when you buy something speculative. It's been going up, but like once you start buying speculative stuff when the market's just flat, like there's not good chances that it's like going to go up like it has. And even just like I hate to even bring it up again, but like Dogecoin, you got people that have like gobs of profits, like hundreds of percents of profit, not taking profit because they think it's going to keep going up. And yeah, maybe you're going to kick yourself for selling half of it when it was already up 500%, but you're going to kick yourself a lot harder if it drops and you wipe out all your profits.
Yeah, it's
There's a
better to
point
get
where you
that
gotta,
small win and get that small win at least, even though say you left some money on the table, rather than losing it. Okay, and that's easier said than done. It is, no matter what it is. Um, yeah, I don't know if you saw, Zero Hedge actually put it out, but there was a J.P. Morgan banker that like a top guy apparently, or like a head analyst for one of their divisions. He just quit because he made a fortune off Dogecoin. He dipped. He quit his job and told them all to kiss it.
F off.
So
Jesus.
that's what taking your profits can do, baby. If you're smart, like that's the whole point of investing is to make money, right? So if
Right.
you're up,
Like,
you can't be, even if it's a 20, heck, even if it's a 5% gain on your money, that's better than losing 30% by staying in trying to chase the big dog. I mean,
right. And we gotta say, like, obviously, like, if you're long-term investing in like a retirement account, by all means, just
yeah, just hold
buy
it.
and hold. But if you're trading, like, and the point of it is to scalp 20% or try to get on a big ride, like, you gotta take it when
Yeah.
it happens. You can't get greedy. And like, I've actually never done this, but it's probably a good idea to share. Is like people will have profit-taking plans before they even enter a position. That way, it
Yeah.
kind of takes the mind out of it. And like, I don't know. I've been decent at taking profits, but I've also had some like Beyond Meat was 240 bucks and I just sold at like 135 because I was sick of having it. Like you
Yeah.
got to be able to see when your investment has fulfilled its goal, and then unless something is very fundamentally changed that would push it higher,
Hmm.
just take it. You gotta. It's hard, but it should
Dubs
also
aren't
be
easy to
easy.
come by in life. In a bull run, I guess in the market they are, but take your dubs when you can get them, okay, and move on with your life. Find the next thing. There's always gonna be a next thing. So, right,
Take
rock on.
them. Absolutely. Take your profits.
Take
Robot
your
mentality
profits.
tries to take profits.
That's right.
All
All
right.
right, closing arguments. our last monologues. I
Yeah,
guess
you
I'm
want
gonna
me
start
to?
on this one.
All right, give it
You
to
want to
us.
start, or you want me to start?
Go ahead.
Because I'm kind of scatterbrained on this one. I guess it's pretty basic, but just with what's going on in life right now. But I've probably used this one before. But at the end of the day, just please, can we just treat each other nicely? Like, assume when you approach somebody that you're going to treat them with respect until they do not deserve your respect. So many people, whether it be the way you look, whether it be something they heard you say, whether it be, whatever, they immediately write you off. And that is such a bad way to view life. That's why we're in such a tribalist state in our country and in the world. It's like you versus me. If you're not with me, you're against me type of thing. Like, if I'm walking up to somebody new, I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt all the way, no matter what, until you do something to where that warrants me not respecting you. Okay? And I'm not gonna like be rude to you, but I'm not gonna want to be around you. Okay? So I'm gonna distance myself. But like, just please, like, it's such a simple concept, and we have like this mainstream thing of like positivity and being nice and whatever, but nobody follows that. Nobody really follows that. It's all artificial. So like, just give people a chance. If they do something stupid, you move on, right? But give people a chance, be nice, try to genuinely be kind to people, and you're gonna find yourself a lot happier, and you're gonna find yourself surrounded by people that actually make you happy and are a lot happier. So
Yeah, that's a good point. Kind of like assume other people have something to offer, and
there you go.
um,
JP
I think,
reference. Let's tie
yeah,
her in.
exactly,
That's right.
absolutely, and
We
like
couldn't go a podcast without it. I love
we
it.
almost made it. I tried not even to say his exact title so that
Yeah.
I didn't cuck him like that, but
No, I
yeah,
love it.
just it could fix the world.
Yeah, it could.
Little things. All right, my parting thoughts, just something that's been on my mind lately is just through this time, a lot of us still have time at home, but even if you don't, like, just try to like learn and to become like better. Like, we all have time to choose if we want to do like mindless things, or I'm not saying like read a book or like blah blah blah, but do something that's going to make yourself better. And just in general, like we were talking about people sitting at home doing nothing, paying to get unemployment. You have the chance to do something with your life and make yourself more marketable. There's ton of information, learning materials out there. There's outside, you can go for a run. Like, there's a lot of things you can do to make yourself a more quality human, feel better, just more energy by doing like certain things. But yeah, just take like a learning approach to life, and just try to like absorb things, because that's what life's about, is just to not I hate saying like be a better version of yourself, but that's kind of what it is. Like, just I think if people looked at life as kind of like a way to keep, not necessarily achieving more, but just to keep finding new experiences that they can build on and build a repertoire of of proficiencies and things, I think it could help people a lot. So even if you're sitting at home collecting unemployment, there's still something you can do to make your life better.
Couldn't have
That's
said it
that.
better myself, King.
Thank you, sir.
All right, and with
Well,
that, we're gonna sign her out. This has been Robot Mentality Season 2, Episode 7. Ben, that's your boy Nick. Been a great talking to you, Mr. Sailor, as always.
you as well,
Good
Ben.
night.
Thank you all for
That's right.
listening. And we'll
And
throw it back right here and say good night, robots.
good night. Grace and peace,
Or
robots.
good morning. Peace.
And peace.